All right, we've got Cassie here. We're going to talk about rowing today. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about our foot pad setup. So when you set your feet up, Cassie's going to put her feet into the rower. What you want to do is make sure that your toe line is aligned with the box here. So let's say, for example, go ahead and take your feet out again, Cassie. Okay, Cassie had hers on a 1. Okay, go ahead and put your foot back in there. See how our toes are hanging off the toe box right here? So now that when she slides in, go ahead and slide in. She's in a compromised angle right here, which is bad for her knees. It's also going to set her up where she's going to be more quad dominant during the row. So go ahead and take your foot back out. Cassie's typically a 3, all right? And you can see the numbers on the foot pads here. So when she straps in, she'll strap her feet in tight. It should go across the ball of her foot. Okay, we're always talking about this midfoot when we're lifting. The same thing applies here. We're going to be pushing out of our midfoot to our heel. We never want to be pushing out of the ball of our foot. Now when Cassie goes to grab the handle, she's going to have a quick start. So what a quick start is, she's going to take a short pull, medium pull, short pull again, then a nice long pull. That's how it sets her up for her cadence throughout the row, okay? So here's the next thing. To keep from making this quad dominant, because that's what we hear a lot of times when people talk about, my quads hurt, my arms hurt, okay? So when Cassie pulls out to her recovery, which is the back end right here, notice how she's sitting upright. She isn't pulling the handle to her throat. She isn't leaning back really far because, lean back real quick. Put the handle at your throat. Now like come forward a little bit. We're talking like 2 inches of difference. That 2 inches is not going to pay any kind of dividends when it comes to a workout. If anything, it's going to compromise your lower back and make the workout worse for you. So what she's going to do, she's going to bring it back down. Notice that her legs are straight before she comes and recovers. Okay, this is a big thing that people don't do, right? So when she pulls out, go again. She'll relax her arms. She'll let the handle come before her arms. She'll hinge at her hip and then bend her knees, reaching as far as she can into the receiving area. Notice again, hinge at the hip and then slides in. Keeping her heels primarily down. Now your heels can come up a little bit, so show them a couple of rows where your heels do come up just a little bit. But what we're looking for here is that you have good ankle flexibility, is that you can keep your heels down. If you have great ankle flexibility, you keep your heels down, you're going to be able to drive out of that position better. So show them real quick, Cassie. That's what we're looking for right here. Notice how she's sitting upright, keeping her arms straight to the end, just kind of like we're doing on a power clean or a snatch. We're keeping our arms straight until our initial pull, okay? So now what we're going to talk about is our cadence and our strokes per minute. So we're going to grab the camera. And we're going to notice when Cassie's coming in on recovery, watch her strokes per minute. So we're looking at the top right-hand corner where it says 23. For Cassie, for a workout, she'd probably want to be around a 28 to a 30 if she's going for time. And how do you do that? So let's look at Cassie's stroke pace now. She's having a good recovery on the back end, and she's not sliding back and forth. If her stroke is really high, let's say it was at 30 to 33 to sometimes you even see 40, imagine doing 40 air squats per minute. That's basically what Cassie would be doing. As you can see, she's hitting the back end, recovering, keeping those legs straight until she hinges at her hip, back in. This is very important. Again, watch how she hinges at the hip, and legs stay straight until she recovers. Our goal is to get our our 500 meter pace down and our strokes per minute at a decent pace that we can hold. Notice now she's at 202 with about a 25 strokes per minute pace. Also, we want to talk about the damper too. You can relax, Cassie. So on the damper, okay, everybody looks at this as an intensity scale, all right? If we had the damper up at a 10, that means that it is allowing more air in. So of course it's going to be like rowing in the ocean. Now if we had it all the way down on 1, the damper is now closed. Okay, so now it's not allowing air in. This is like rowing on a calm lake. So we like to tell everybody this is like deadlifting your body weight over and over again, which would probably not be good if you're doing 2,000 meters or any kind of thing, any kind of workout with that in it, with rowing in the workout. So we like to tell athletes around a 5 or a 6, which was also where you want to pick on your options. Okay, your drag factor. So we're going to display our drag factor. All right, you want to have your drag factor between a 140 on your rower. So that's why we tell everybody your rower, each rower is different than the next rower next to it, based off if there's dust in there, if it's an old rower or a new rower. So Cassie, go ahead and pull again. Let's look at our drag factor right here. Okay, it's at a 127. So we know that we need to put it up to about a 6. So let's look at it again. And that's going to be a pretty good drag factor right there for her, okay? So this is what we need to do for our rower. This is how we need to set up. A couple things to keep in mind. Again, foot pads are set up correctly. Hinging at our hip before we slide back in. Keeping our arms straight. Our stroke pace needs to be correct. And also our damper or drag factor need to be set up correctly.